En reggae tech dozen.
Hello and welcome back to Phoenix World Championship, where we're in our 5th week now in Europe. Czech Republic, Autodrom most, our first European stop, just halfway through the championship as we are starting the back half, and the battle for the lead, battle for all other positions is heating up. Especially if we look at our main standings, the top 3 are currently being separated by a solitary point. McLaren team in the lead, Autodrom Racing and Psychedelics just 1 point back. 15 points back is Gunses, and the rest you can see on your screen. Incredibly tight battle this year. McLaren team is back on track this time around. Him and Autodrom Racing used up their drop week to actually drop a week of racing. Both of them did not show for one race. As for third place, Psychedelics participated in all races, and he's dropping 19 points in Dubai, which was his worst result. And so far, he is the only driver without a win in top 3, so consistency does matter. He found himself on podium many times, and so far, he finds himself in 6th position as our qualifying reaches halfway point. As for the teams, after half a season, we do have Racing Team Intel dominating, and it looks like something actually broke in the points. You see the difference in points being the other way around, but yes, we do have 185 points for the second team. Disregard that. And it looks like Racing Team Intel 1, which is Saltcedar, and McLaren team are far ahead, and it's being chased by 2 PRT teams. First one is of course Psychedelics and Viperian, the second team being Nemaidas, who is paired with Jifu, who is yet to show up for one of our races, so it's basically one car team at this point. We do have 10 drivers setting the time so far. We have 13 signed up for the race. It looks like James is not able to take part once again, so we're looking at 12 car field if everybody sets a time. Waiting for Viperian. There we go, Autodrom Racing showed up and set a time and instantly in 3rd place, and it looks like we are waiting for Viperian to show a valid time. And it'll be the only car that's yet to set a valid lap. Gunz is so far leading with 22.2, one hell of a result, noting how 22 mid was target at practice for our drivers. So very good result for Latvian so far, but obviously he's being chased by quite a few drivers. We're looking at McLaren team 2 tenths back, 4 tenths back is Autodrom Racing and Saltcedar, actually tied at 123.674. Cool K at 23.7. Framed Automotive also 23.7. 1 tenth back is Psychedelics 23.8. Nemaidas and Spitfire in 24. Scap at 25. And Ghost of Yandalov at 129 with a solitary valid lap. 5 minutes to go, and Czech Republic, not a very known racetrack for our drivers. They haven't raced it ever, and that's probably the last track that's going to be unknown in this championship, since we're heading to our European part of the tour, which includes Imola, Red Bull Ring and Hockenheim. 3 well-known racetracks where drivers are aware of all the pitfalls. So if anything interesting is going to happen, it's probably going to happen here. Our drivers are not very familiar with all the twists and turns, and yes, it's definitely a new track for our drivers. The Gunz is currently approaching 8-9, and here's turn 10, which is the hairpin which starts the second part of the lap. Let's actually switch to an onboard view and look at turn 13. Fast kink, then into technically turn 14 here under the bridge, and to turn 15, 16, 17, another set of S's, very offset from each other, so you can't just take a line through them, you have to adjust it as you go. Now 18 and 19, which is essentially a long left sweeper, which may be as well a turn into the 90-degree turn 20 and turn 21, reminiscent of the reverse Red Bull Ring. 2 very tight turns, but they are uphill. and Gunses actually makes a mistake, and that compromises his lap, so it's not gonna stand. He is looking to reset and go again. Yes, this is basically two 90-degree turns, very loose, but unlike Red Bull Ring, these are actually uphill, so the car is more planted in the beginning, but once you crest it, it might become a little bit looser. And it goes. I guess it's a mix between Red Bull Ring and Sochi here. You have a hard turn, and then you have another hard 90-degree turn, which actually dumps you straight on the start-finish, so you have to get the second one right. Use all of the available track, and here's the start-finish straight, which then goes straight to Monza. Or the first chicane, turns 1 and 2. Two 90-degree turns with little to no space, so the first lap is going to be interesting. As McLaren Tim, I believe, did not improve his lap 22.3 the last time around. Turn 3, turn 4, again a very long left-hander, and we're coming to our first set of S's, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which might be a bar stop of sorts, and we arrive to turn 10 again, which is the hairpin. So a lot of S's, a couple of straights, and a very crucial last couple of turns. We've seen drivers losing time and losing their car as they approach it. So gotta keep an eye on the drivers. We have 2.5 minutes with 1:22, one of our shorter tracks in regard to lap time here at Autodrom most. So we do have almost everybody still with 2 laps to go. Looks like Spitfire is off the road. That's in turn 9. He rejoins. Viperian and Ghostly Vandal have 2 Kiwis currently in the pits. Let's see if they will rejoin to try again, or if that's gonna be it for them. They'll have to go on track right about now. So looks like McLaren Tim is just about done. 1:24 seconds. He's not gonna take another lap, so he is done. Cool K with a stormy lap at 23.3. The Indonesian puts his Mercedes on second row. One hell of a result out of nowhere, and Autodrom Racing replies immediately at 23.105. So only 2 cars are currently in 22s, but everybody else is incredibly tight. And we are under a minute to go. The next car that's gonna cross the line is gonna be Nemaides, currently exiting the second set of S's. He'll have another lap and a new livery for PRC Orange, a black and a yellow one this time around, but a very familiar dark Phoenix Racing team colored one. That lap was 24.2, not the fastest lap. It's gonna be Psychedelics next at the line. No improvement on the lap. Looking at who will probably be at the line when the checkered waves, it's gonna be Cool K in the penultimate turn. Let's see if he improves again. 5 seconds to go. He is definitely gonna see the checkered flag this time around as he crosses the line with zeros on the clock. And there's gonna be no improvement. 23.4. Autodrom Racing is next. Looking for any improvement to jump into the top row. Is it gonna work this time around? No improvement on the time. Spitfire is diving onto the pit lane. It's gonna be Gunses next at the time in line. Let's see if he improves. McLaren team in the pits will not be able to respond. Gunses does not improve himself. Saltseeder crosses the line. No improvement for the German. And we are looking who is gonna be... It's gonna be 3 more cars. It's Nemaides, it's Psychedelics, and I believe Cap is yet to cross a line. That's 3 cars that are approaching the end of the final qualifying lap. Nemaides first, he'll need to improve by 6/10. And the time is 23.8. He improves, but not close enough to beat Saltseeder, so he remains in 8th. Psychedelics, he just needs half a tenth to improve to 5th. And his time, 1:23.3. He beats Cool K and Framed Automotive and gets the second row in 4th position. Last car to cross the line. Cap is gaming the last lap. Will need a second improvement to improve in the positions. He gets 25.1. I believe he does improve, but does not improve the position. Yes, 25.191 is his best time, but still starting from 11th. So the only car not shown up today is going to be Not James. 12 cars on the grid once again. And we do have a little bit of a countdown. We have 3 minutes before our race starts. So, halfway through the season, very interesting. We have quite a few battles brewing. Obviously, the three-way battle for the lead. We have Gunsis, who's had good results. He's once again finding himself on pole and failed to win a race. Everything goes wrong for Latvian in the race. Let's see if he manages to snatch a win finally. And if he does, he'll definitely close up to the top 3. Then we have for the top 5 a very close battle. Nemida Salcido and Framed Automotive trading good results, and Framed obviously claiming podium position last time around. Caught up to them, 78, 75, 73 points for 3 of them. Overtaking Not James, who is gonna skip races. And further down in battle out of top 10 it's gonna be Marzan Scheiper, Cool K. 26, 26, 21 points. And with Cool K's great results so far, finding himself in 5th position, if he manages to hold station, that's gonna be a great jump, possibly jumping into top 10 all the way to Neon Tiger, who's gonna skip the race today, as we do not see a red Ferrari on the grid. So the top row, Gunses and McLaren Tim. McLaren Tim, who's currently the championship leader, skipping the previous race, very fresh, and Gunsis, who's hungry for the win. Will be very interesting to see who's gonna get their way and claim the first Czech Autodrom victory in Phoenix Racing Club. I believe we did not have any races in Czech Republic. No, I don't think we did. Maybe we did, but I've forgotten completely about it. Mostly because I'm spotted today by this mint honey cider, which is gonna make the race even better. Under 1 minute to go. This temperature reading is wrong because I believe it is static. The temperature is 15 degrees centigrade, and the winds, as you've been able to see at the start of the race, the wind is actually quite severe. It's going northeast and it's 29 kilometers an hour. It's a solid wind which might compromise the drivers. So it's definitely gonna matter. And it actually equals 8 meters per second for those calculating in that. So it's not quite gale, but it's getting there. It's getting there, and it's gonna bother the drivers. And if it's gusting, it's gonna be even worse. But for now, the timer of the pre-race is over, and we are out for the formation lap. Safety car takes us around for 1 lap, which is about 3 minutes, as we are getting ready to go. Gunsis is leading the field behind the safety car. Once again, we'll hear from the race director where everything is set and ready to go. Hopefully no problems with the field as they form up and warm their tires. So welcome once again to Phoenix World Championship race number 5 out of 8. We are in February, just 1 and a bit more months till we are settled for the Season 5 champion, and it's definitely all to play for. Plenty of corners, plenty of points to win today, and Gunz has already claimed 3 of them for the qualifying victory. So definitely interesting to see how this develops and how the drivers behave this time around, because the previous round was actually a lot of work for stewards for turn 12 track limits. Every single driver was slapped with a penalty this round, or the previous round, so everybody is on notice, and I bet race control will be on full alert for track limit infringement. We did have 2 penalties, time penalties regarding the pit infringement. It was, I believe it was Scheiper and Saltceder. So we actually have red lights, which is interesting, but I think the car built off into the pits, so probably different light configuration this time, because we are going for a restart as set by the race director. So Gunses will take us around the last turn as we are getting ready to go. The leader is waiting, still waiting, and now going. The race has started. Gunses pulls away very quickly, but McLaren team is on the inside looking in case he has better acceleration towards the medium part. It looks like somebody's diving down the inside. Looks like Scheiper, there is a little bit of a bump, but no cars turned around yet. Everybody continues, and looks like everybody settled down. Framed Automotive managed to get around Kulke at the start. We do have a battle at the end. That's Ghost of the Underloved and Cap battling around, side by side. Oh, that is very close. Ghost of the Underloved tries to get around the outside. That is Spitfire, I believe, spinning out in the gravel and rejoining in the last place, but everybody else makes it through. I'm not sure if there was any help. I think he just lost the car in one of the S's, but he manages to continue. Everybody manages to continue. But for now, Atom Racing is pushing Gunses, who's been overtaken by McLaren team at the start. So the team regains the lead, and Gunses finds himself in a very familiar situation with a Russian up his gearbox. Let's see how this develops. Saltceder finds himself in 11th place, so something happened with him, but looks like Ghost of the Underloved goes a little bit wide in the S's, rejoins carefully behind Spitfire, and Saltceder improves to 10th, so not the greatest of start for the German. He'll have to climb back up. Kulke chasing down Framed Automotive, who stole his 5th position at the start. But for now, everybody looks settled. Obviously, Porsches with their straight line speed, it's going to be difficult to do something with Framed on a straight. So Kulke will need to set something up well in advance, and probably in a set of corners rather than the start-finish straight. The main advantage of the Porsche is their fantastic acceleration and straight line speed, as we've seen in Virginia when Spitfire overtook 2 cars on the straight and did not even care in the slightest. Further up the road, Gunses recovered after the suboptimal start of the race, back up to the rear of McLaren team, using a little bit of that slipstream and shaking off Atom behind. So it looks like we're gonna have 2 leaders of this race. It's gonna be McLaren team and Gunses. Let's see who is better in long-term pace. Psychedelics stays in 4th and trying to chase down another podium position. So basically our race top 4 are all championship top 4, as we've seen Spitfire overtaking Saltceder. Not sure if there was a mistake or Spitfire is very rapid trying to get back up after his early adventures. But he made up a position and now in 10th. Saltceder drops down to 11th. Not the greatest race start for the German, and he has a long way ahead of him. McLaren team, 23.1 fastest lap, and Nemesis on the gearbox of Kulke. McLaren is also quite rapid. Mercedes obviously has an advantage with some acceleration with a powerful engine, but the top speed is probably on the McLaren side. So we'll see if Nemesis is able to utilize it, and obviously McLaren, being less of a chunk, is able to be a little bit more agile in the turns, but with a lot of S's that might not be the greatest of advantages here. It's very difficult to set up a pass here. Spitfire meanwhile caught up to the back of Cap already for the 9th position, so the Russian is pushing very hard to get back to the front after his misadventures at the start. We'll see if that's gonna work. That Porsche definitely has a chip on his shoulder. Now trying to get around Racing Team Intel 2. Ferrari, the only Team 2 car, as no James was not able to take the start. Meanwhile, Nemade is still tailing Kulke, who himself is falling back from Framed Automotive. It's looking not just a 1 second gap between everybody in the top 5. So everybody find their pace. Framed Automotive catching up to Psychedelics just a tiny little bit. So maybe that Porsche will be a threat for the main standings somewhere down the road. Spitfire 24.9, Salzgitter 24.8. So these two are middle of the table, and there's an overtake. Spitfire goes around Cap and secures 9th spot. Salzgitter is not far behind. Let's see if the Ferrari is able to deal with a Ferrari. And once again, Spitfire made a move and then missed a turn. So that was turn 6 and 7, I believe, which causes problem for the Russian as he falls back behind Cap, obviously losing plenty of time, as now they are... sorry, he lost place to Salzgitter already. As he passed Cap, and there is another spin, and that Porsche is in the wall. Spitfire in the wall, and that Porsche seemingly still has the problem from the last round where the car is very fast but very loose as the Russian regains momentum in the right way but lost plenty of time. Framed Automotive already on the back of Psychedelics as Gunses sets the last time by a 10th. Psychedelics goes on the defensive on the inside line into the first chicane, switches to the main line just in time to block off Framed. No move done, and looks like Spitfire lost the place to Ghost of the Underlove, so something is really bad with that Porsche, and there's still 15 minutes before the pits can be commenced without losing time. Obviously one mandatory stop between 20th and 40th minute of a race, as per usual, but that car is struggling. 145. Terrible, terrible lap. Let's see if he recovers and is able to get some ground back. Meanwhile, we see the battle. Framed Automotive versus Psychedelics, Porsche versus Mercedes. Very bright versus plainly, basically a black car. We seem not the best laps for Framed. Almost a second down on himself. So he can go faster, but he is trailing Psychedelics and the car is loose. It might be just a Porsche problem, or it might be another case of commentator's curse as I switch to a car's on board and that car is instantly sideways and almost off the track. Looks like Spitfire is off again. That car is barely controllable. I wonder what's going on here, but that's definitely not a good sign. Falling down and down to last place with 15 seconds up the road of nothing. Psychedelics defends well, but that means everybody behind him is now in a big chase sequence. Framed, Kulke and Imadas, you see all these four cars are now chasing each other in a big snake, led by Psychedelics in a big Mercedes. So interesting to see different cars. Two Mercs, a Pork, and a McLaren. As we've seen the overtake from the onboard, Psychedelics tried to move inside but looks like made a mistake, and Framed Automotive managed to breeze by. That Mercedes is not having the greatest of times and now gonna be under fire from Kulke. It's Merc on Merc violence potentially. Kulke cannot linger for too long as he himself has been chased by Nemaidas. With that long train, definitely if you're not the overtaken one, you're gonna be overtaken. Interesting to see how this develops. Looks like Spitfire is in the pits. Not sure if there's going to be for repair, so that car might be toast. But looks at the Mercedes. If not for that little curb expedition, he had a better exit at the beginning. So Psychedelics is not willing to give up that easily. He will chase down his competition. Oh, there's a move! Kulke, absolutely crazy move down the inside. It's not gonna work, and it looks like he outbraked himself trying to avoid Psychedelics, and it helped Nemaidas to just go past and into 6th position. Crazy move, did not work out. Everybody is alive. That Mercedes definitely has a little bit of a crazy note about him, but it was a brave move. Psychedelics saw it. Psychedelics made sure nobody got in the wall, and Cool K made sure to leave space on the outside. Spitfire is back on the road. 1 minute back, but hopefully with a fixed car, so maybe some casualties further down the road help him with some points. But for now, everybody line of stern. We see Cool K on the back of Nemaitis. Cool K with a very fast car, but needs to set up the pass in the final couple of corners. He finds himself in 13th place overall with just 21 points. 2 last races yielded him nothing, and first to 13 and 8 points. So down the order, needs to get settled to get some good times. Nemaitis with good lap, faster than Psychedelics and Framed. So he stays on the back of his competitors. You see Cool K is not willing to give up, he's still on the tail. So in the next braking zone, if he stays that close back, he might think of a move, but not yet. The Indonesian stays back in 7th position, waiting patiently for a braking opportunity. There is a braking opportunity, but Nemaitis goes very, very hard inside, just closing down, just not allowing anything. So Cool K has to go the long way around, and that's not gonna work in this turn unless somebody makes a mistake, like here. Nemaitis makes a mistake, gets a little bit of a grass. Cool K not close enough, but the next turn is all chicanes, and Psychedelics makes a move in the chicanes. Has to stay on the inside, trying to protect his place. Oh, another move, and there's touch! There is a touch between Psychedelics and Nemaitis, and Cool K gets past both of them. Oh, there is a incidental, possibly collision. We've seen Psychedelics get very loose, and he's off the road again. So that Mercedes is not behaving as expected. And as he was trying to collect the car, he collected his opponent instead. So very interesting to see how that goes in the steward's room, but for now, Cool K gained 2 positions and a little bit of ground on both of them. So that's a great result for the Indonesian, but the problem for Nemaitis is he's still behind Psychedelics. There was contact, but there is no switching off places. But now if we go to our leaders, Salzgitter goes around Viperian. Viperian down to 9th position as the German continues to climb back after his dreadful start. Next up, 6 seconds up the road is actually Nemaitis. And back in the middle for the lead, it's going to be McLaren, Tim and Gunz's 2 cars within 1 second of each other, continuing on and going as far away as possible from Autumn Race. And looks like Spitfire is in the pits once again. So that car is not having the greatest of time. I believe there was another spin. And we'll see if that car is gonna retire or just continue on. Obviously he's gonna get lapped right now by our 2 leaders. Meanwhile, Nemaitis still getting closer and closer, half a second to Psychedelics, but needs to set up a move. Still no moves done. And looks like it's the end of the day for Spitfire, who leaves the car. And another mistake for Psychedelics, who is now off the road and struggling to get back on the road. And there is Salzgitter, there is German, and German Salzgitter goes by, no resistance from the Mercedes, and there's gonna be Psychedelics' teammate behind him now. Viperian is 1 second back, so it's a disaster class for PRT Black driver. He needs to regain composure. I'm not sure what's going on with the car. It looks like he just drives off the road in that's gonna be turn 20 twice, and previous it was turn 15 as well. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but he needs to collect himself. If that's the tires, he has to survive for 7 more minutes. But definitely plenty of time for things to change, so he needs to sell down, get behind Salzgitter, and work his way back up the standings. Still 47 minutes to go. As we continue here with 2 leaders, let's go on board with the McLaren once again for a little bit as he's chasing down the race leader. But as we're looking, we might as well leave it to the drivers and make me shut up for a bit and just enjoy the sound of the cars. as we continue on. The chase is pretty much identical as where we left it a couple minutes back. Goods is chasing down McLaren team with about a second in between them. They're now chasing down one of the lapped cars. Trying to spot who that is. That goes to be Underloft, I believe. Yes, it is. Letting go of the leaders. No problems whatsoever. And the battle continues. 23 flat for Guns, 23-2 for McLaren team. So a little bit closer, but not close enough to matter. And it looks like Psychedelics loses another place to his teammate. That 93 car has seen better days. Oh! Viperian is off the road. That was a very, very weird way to lose the car in an opposite direction of a turn. But Commodore's Curse tries again. Viperian now under fire from Cap in 9th place. Psychedelics off the road again in turn 20. I believe all of these track marks are from one single car as Psychedelics continues to disagree with the penultimate turn. And now he falls down all the way to P10. So after a very great start in the season, after 4 races, find himself in top 3, Psychedelics is struggling a lot. He needs to survive for 3 more minutes if that's tire related. And there is Cap having problems. Now he is off the track in turn number 2. Psychedelics returns to 9th. But now already 3 seconds behind Viperian. So something is not right in that Mercedes. Something is definitely not right. And while we wait for the pits to open, might as well see what that car sees. We're on board with Psychedelics. It looks like the pits might have opened early. 43 minutes to go. So it looks like our pit window shifted a tiny little bit by 3 minutes. Hopefully all the drivers are aware. The pit open message does communicate to all drivers. But yes, we still have a 20-minute window, but it might be good luck for Psychedelics if that was tire related, because he now can jump into the pits already without having to wait for a couple of more laps. As they approach the end of a lap here, there is turn 20. He struggles with this time around just fine. So I'm not sure what that was. Psychedelics selects not to come in this time around. He continues on chasing his own teammate, 25-7. Obviously not a fast lap. His teammate was not really fast either, so he closed the gap. So it might be something regarding the team, something regarding their setup, as both of them are struggling and losing ground to Saltseeder in 7th, now Viperian 14 seconds back. So it might be a battle between 2 cars for 8th place at this point. Goes to the Underloft a little bit off the track. Now back on. I believe it happened in turn 17. Yes, turn 15-17 that was. We continue on. As soon as we switched on board, looks like Psychedelics is not having too many issues with the car. But for some reason, that turn 20 is his absolute worst enemy. And as luck would have it, we are approaching it now through turn 18, 19 and into the last couple of corners. Let's see if something happens this time around. 41 minutes to go. And again, yes, we do see the car just loses it under braking in turn 20. We've seen exactly what happens. So under brakes, or I guess off throttle, that rear just steps out. And the German struggles to contain it. This time around, both of them once again slow time, so he managed to catch up. But that is definitely not a healthy car. Meanwhile, Cool K, within a second of Framed Automotive now, the Indonesian continues his march towards the podium. Now in 5th place, catching up to 3rd and getting away from Dimitis, who is now 6 seconds behind. The leaders still half a second away from each other. And McLaren team is not in a hurry to make a mistake, so it might be the pit window that settles it once and for all for both drivers. They have to get it right, they have to rejoin in good space without any cars. Autumn Racing is about 15 seconds back, Framed another 10 seconds back. So 25 seconds with a stop at about 40. They're gonna challenge Saltcedo, Nemidis and Viperian in that range. So if they rejoin behind one of them without them pitting yet, that might be a problem. That might cost them a lot of time. And obviously pit entry, pit exit themselves, that's all gonna matter. So looks like pit window will be crucial in the battle for the lead, where both drivers remain around 1 second away from each other for the majority of the race. We are now officially into the pit window open region, if it was at 40th minute. 39 minutes to go, and nobody elected to go into the pits yet, apart from Spitfire, who parked the car early on. The car was barely controllable, as we've seen. Everybody else continues on, and nobody elects to stop early. We've seen messages from our drivers who said that the tires are struggling. So it might be people are trying to wait for halfway mark to change their tires and make it the second half of the race. So none of the tires are taking more than half an hour of a beating. Psychedelics back, and we've seen almost a synchronized off track for two PIT black cars. Customer commentator, you're welcome. And Psychedelics goes around Viperian and back into 8th position, so looks like both of the Mercs are struggling. PRT Black is not having the greatest of times, which is entirely weird, seeing that Cool K is in the 5th place and challenging Framed Automotive for 4th. So it's something with the team that's not working. It's not the car thing, it's a team thing. So something in that setup is being very difficult to handle, as they find themselves in 8th and 9th place. Will be interesting to see and hear explanations if we get to hear them. But that's gonna be after the race. For now, we still look at the top two drivers. McLaren team and Gunz are separated by a second again. And Cap is gonna be opening our pit window. The first car to jump onto the pit road. Leaders elect to continue. And looks like we're gonna see plenty of pits within about 7 laps. It's not gonna be an equal 20 minutes to go when the pit window closes. It's gonna be 23 this time around, judging by the timer. But at the 30-minute mark, they will still be able to pit. It will be second half of pit window, but it will be middle of the race, which is the most important, it looks like. Tires are seemingly not going for the leaders, but the Mercs are struggling mightily. Looks like Cap is gonna rejoin in the path of 4th, 5th and 6th. Frame Cool K made us, but a lap down, not losing places. So it should be a very easy way to settle things down. And yes, he settles behind Cool K. So we have 11 cars left, 10 yet to pit. Goes to the end left a little bit off the track again in the last turn. Rejoins safely, and we continue. From what I've seen on the radar, that was about Psychedelics and Viperian. Hopefully these two are not involved, because they are not friends with the last couple of corners. But it's interesting to see that this race is essentially a two-horse battle. The third car, Atom Racing, is 15 seconds back. That's a massive gap for halfway through the race. McLaren team and Gunz are just battling those cars. 23 flat, identical lap times for the drivers. Gunz with a slightly faster best lap at 22.7, 22.8 for McLaren team. The difference is barely half a tenth for the fastest laps in the trading lap times. Still no resolution to this battle inside, and we are still waiting for our pit window and for the leaders to come in. Oh, I gotta tell you, this minty cider is great. Anyway, looking like Viperian and Psychedelics still together, two teammates separated by a second. Cool K losing out a little bit to Framed Automotive, just a tenth or two per lap, not a lot, so one mistake from the Porsche, which is prone to mistakes, as we've seen from Spitfire, but looks like Framed managed to find the rhythm and settle that Porsche down and use that speed without compromising the handling, as he might be challenging for the second podium in a row, which is currently being prevented by Atom Racing and the Ferrari occupying that position. And looks like there we have it. Our leader in the pits. McLaren team is the first of the leader pack that jumps into the pits. 120k an hour speed limit after the line, and this is the speed at which they handle this kink and this entry. He's going to be the first one in that pack to pit, and let's see what Gunses does. He has open road in front of him. If he manages to get fast laps done, that's going to be crucial. Let's see what team rejoins as well. Now changing tires, and we see a couple of cars that might be in the way. That's framed, that's Cool K. We're gonna see Nemades driving by, and the Cap as well. And it looks like the coast might just be clear. That's Salt City, next car. And let's see if team manages to rejoin in front. Yes, he does. Has a few second gap to get the tires up to temp. And looks like it's working well for McLaren team for now, as he has 4 seconds of fresh air in front of him. But they do not have reference of each other now with Gunses. Gunses can set times, set great times, and after his pit, rejoin in front. There was 1 second, and it will be crucial to see lap times of both drivers. Now Gunses has about 10 minutes to get every single fast lap he has under this car. Let's see the first one. It's not the fastest, 23.1, so it's 10 slower than his previous one. So we'll see if that continues, or how fast McLaren team will be able to go without a car chasing him. So this lap is not going to be representative for McLaren team, but he has fresh tires. He will have fresh tires while Gunses continues on rather old, making a little bit of a mistake. That'll cost him a couple tenths. But Gunses elects to have fresher tires towards the end of a race. If they remain line of stern, that will be more useful at the end. Nemades is the next one to pit. He's gonna cede position, and we'll see where he rejoins Cool K. Meanwhile, 2.7 back from frame, so the tires on that Merc are starting to fade as we're halfway through our pit window. 32 minutes to go, and we have 7 cars left that are waiting with their stop. Let's see how far they're willing to wait. I'm surprised that both PRT black cars are electing to stay out, considering how many problems they had early on. Perhaps they're trying to damage control and not have even more problems at the end of a race, but something in those cars is not working as it is, so they might have used this opportunity to change something, anything they can. Goes to the Underloft in the pits. They're electing to pit around halfway through, fit a new set and continue on. So Salt City is the next car to stop. That was interesting because he was pushing hard, but was a little bit on his own, and most importantly, he got out of the way on McLaren team. Let's see where he rejoins regarding Nemades, most importantly. So Salt's here in the pits for now, and rejoining. There goes Nemades. And looks like the gap is going to be rather solid. It's going to be a very difficult job for Saltseeder to get back. About 8 seconds now. So that's going to be tough. McLaren team 4.7 seconds of free road. Autodrom racing the next car to pit. He was all on his own, so I don't think that's going to matter much for his positioning. But we are continuing to look at Gunses. He has 7 minutes on the clock to get fast laps done and get ahead of Tim. 22.8 for McLaren team, almost repeating his fastest lap. He is definitely pushing hard in that window. Guntz is gonna stumble upon a back marker here, and it looks like McLaren team is not gonna make an overcut work for Guntz's. Great lap times for our net race leader. Let's see the reply from Guntz's, but he might rejoin further than he's been, and he will have to use up this new set of tires to get back to where he was. Interesting to see. Best lap for Hyperion, 24.5, chasing down Psychedelics. There's the next lap for the Latvian. Let's see the time. He's ahead of Nemedis. 23.2, that's 4/10 lost on this lap alone. It is possible that Guntz wants fresh tires for the end, but maybe it's time to cut the losses, rejoin and see what you can do in an open battle instead of hot lapping, because looks like McLaren team got this hot lapping covered. However, if Guntz manages to hold off for a bit, McLaren team is fast enough to catch up to Kulke here, who gracefully for team dives onto the pit road. It's coming up Milhouse for car 71 as everybody just decides to get out of the way, including Framed Automotive and Kulke, both cars on pits right now. 23.4 though, not the greatest of laps for Tim. So we are looking at Psychedelics, Viperian and Guntz's not stopping yet, I believe. All three waiting. The Mercs, the usual strategy for Psychedelics to pit late and save good tires for the end. He's now finding himself 6 seconds behind Artem, but that's obviously with a pit stop in between. Artem rejoins in front of Framed and Kulke. Viperian dives onto pit road now. So that's 2 cars remaining. Psychedelics goes ahead, but obviously that's not going to last for a long time. Framed rejoins. Kulke 4 seconds back. And there it is, Guntz on pit road. There is the crucial moment. Guntz finally decides to go with 4 minutes left. Cut his loss and get back. McLaren team with a poor previous lap. If he managed a lap of his lap time, that might be enough, but I sincerely doubt it. McLaren team continues on. We're gonna stay on him for now. Psychedelics the only car to pit with 4:13 left on the pit clock. There, McLaren team in the penultimate corner. Now out of the last corner. We are on board with the Ferrari. Do we see a McLaren on the right side exiting pit road? I do not think so. As he passes, and there is Guntz rejoining behind McLaren team 23.1. There is Guntz. He is now, I would say, about 2 seconds behind, 2.8 back. But on a newer compound, 3 seconds back. It's a mountain to climb for the Latvian, but he does have new tires, and he does have the fastest lap of the race at 22.7. He needs to remember how to do that and do that a bunch of times. So, looks like it's gonna be a chase now for the 000. Psychedelics 25.3. He's the only car yet to stop, I believe. After a dreadful beginning, he settled down into a rhythm. Not the fastest of rhythms, I gotta admit. Framed Automotive and Kulke rejoining 59.58, but that's post pits, I believe, so that's fine. Ghost TV Unloved also in pits. I'm not sure what happened there. I believe they stopped before, so it looks like they might have just blocked the car. Not sure what that was. We'll have to see later if that was a technical issue or something else. But for now we have 10 cars left on the road and 1 car is yet to pit. And we are actually spectating that car. And he's probably gonna have to dive in this time or next time. Next time will be absolute. And oh, and he spins! And Psychedelics off the road! That's the danger of leaving your stop towards the end. The tires are not lasting. He's now rejoining, and that's Framed Automotive going around. He definitely has to dive in this time around. He is not gonna make it another lap. Or, well, maybe he will make it, but I would pit anyway. Because these tires are done. And he dives in. Oh, he misses the pit road entirely. What is going on with that car? 93 off the road again on pit entry, and now finally makes it to the pit, already losing a heap of time. So he is now on pit road and he will likely rejoin behind Viperian. So that race is absolutely a wash for Psychedelics. And now we get back to Gunsis, who is not able to get time out of these new tires. Now 3 seconds back and not really improving. Latvian is quite settled here on the gap after a lap or two. He does see the leader. The leader is actually chasing down. That's gonna be Viperian, who lets him by on the inside. Not the best of times. 22.9 actually, for goodness, I take everything I said back. They gained half a second, but that might be just a little bit too far. You see, the gap is rather large. He needs to get around Viperian now. Obviously no threat behind, so he might push that car. He has to push that car if he wants win after 5 races. But that's a difficult task. 38 seconds of pit window, but I believe everybody completed their stops. .23.9 from Salt City, who continues to chase down Nemaitis. Nemaitis with 24 flat best times, so 8 seconds, but still 23 minutes to do that. Guns has been stuck a little bit behind Viperian, but now going for a move in 20 on the inside, and the late braking Viperian gives plenty of room and continues on. Viperian rejoined 6 seconds ahead of Psychedelics as we were talking, but now 3.6 seconds, waiting for a little bit. He lost plenty of time. 23.7, even lost more time than McLaren Tim, as Tim continues with his journey towards the top of ranking. So looking at Atom Racing in 3rd position, that will yield 32 points with 40 for the win. That's 8 points already, disregarding the qualifying points. So the gap for McLaren team will grow by about 10 points if I count correctly. And for Psychedelics it's going to be an absolute disaster. So it's not going to be plenty of points. Gunsis will probably get ahead, as the gap was 14 between them, and Gunsis claimed 3 already in qualifying. So definitely shaking up the field if everything stays as it is right now. But plenty of racing. 22.44 for South Cedar, and Nemaitis is not exactly bending over backwards. He himself is chasing down Kulke to get into top 5. 3 seconds between him and Kulke, who is slowly but surely falling down from Framed Automotive. As we have 20 minutes to go with a closed, earlier than expected, but closed pit window. It's just about time to give my voice a little break and let you enjoy the roaring cars. under 20 minutes to go, 17 and a half in fact. Nemaitis still chasing down Kulke. You see that McLaren bouncing up and down quite a bit, so that might be the part of Autodrom most that many people do not know and did not factor in when making a setup. The cars are gonna be bouncing and you need to contain those to be able to handle the track and its curbs correctly. The curbs are absolute opposite of what they had in Surface Paradise, where you've seen plenty of flat ones. These ones will shake you around. Kulke also losing out from framed, so this duo being stuck together is falling back from 4th place. It looks like it's gonna be between them two. Meanwhile, team battle, as Psychedelics is finally catching up to Viperian, 0.8 of a second between them. Cup is off the road, meanwhile at turn 20. Everybody's safe and he rejoins behind Nemaitis, I believe, yes. But we're looking at the battle for 8th, Viperian versus Psychedelics. Two PIT black cars that have... Oh! Lose for Viperian again. But he manages to stay ahead, just barely, but now Psychedelics is hot on the tail. Very different lines for two cars. Psychedelics is trying to set up a move. He obviously can't go around in the S's, but if he sets up the main straight better, he might have a chance into turn 1 here. So far, half a second between those. A deeper entry into the turn by Psychedelics. Maybe trying to manage whatever bug has riddled his car earlier on. But he will stay behind for now. Looking for an opening, looking for a chance to move past his teammate without causing any harm. Obviously, you do not want to commit the cardinal sin and punt into your teammate. Oh, there's an issue for Viperian again. Loose and wide in turn 2, and Psychedelics dives inside and completes the pass, and now in P number 8. Viperian continues on behind his teammate. Oh, almost clobbers him in the rear. Has to avoid wide, and that gives Psychedelics a little bit of breathing space ahead and behind. Well, he has plenty of breathing space ahead, 38 seconds worth of it, in fact. 23.7 for Nemaitis, best personal lap time, as he continues his chase, now down to 2.5 seconds. With 15 minutes to go in the race, that's still plenty to get something done. So looks like it's gonna be the closest battle come the end of a race. Everybody else is slowly spreading out. Salcido is not able to match the pace of Nemaitis and falling back himself. Psychedelics almost half a lap back together with the Viperian. Two team cars trading places. Cap is another minute behind. Ghost, the Antelope and Spitfire have retired from this race. Guns is still 3 seconds back from McLaren team. That pit window definitely benefited the American over the Latvian, and that gap stabilized itself. Autumn racing half a minute back with framed automotive 15 further seconds back, and then we have Kulke and Nemaitis again. The new track definitely makes this skill gap and setup gap more evident. We see large gaps between the cars, as those who are yet to get used to this track are struggling, while the leaders are pulling away by half a minute, with still a quarter of a race to go. Definitely interesting development, but we do have local battles even in the late stages of a race, which is always nice to see. And we still have a little bit of intrigue. If somebody makes a mistake, if team makes a mistake, that's all. You look at those two. 122.9 for both McLaren team and Gunses. They're both out of 123s, but they're not increasing or decreasing the gap between them. So they're literally copying each other. Having fun as the first two cars, but obviously Tim is having a little bit more fun at the moment, being 3 seconds ahead. Meanwhile, Nemaitis does close in lap by lap, slowly, now within 2 seconds of Cool K. And if he manages to get that gap back to where it was, maybe we'll see a move towards the end of a race. Not too far from his personal best, just 3 or 4 tenths slower, which is decent for a multi-lap pace. Actually, a very good last corner, down to 2 tenths behind his personal best, 23.9, half a second shaved off from Cool K. And with that pace, he'll be back in about, what, 6 minutes? Which leaves him 5 to 8 minutes to get a move done. Plenty of time, but obviously it's going to be difficult to find something. Looks like Cap is having issues again in turn 20. That car is on its last legs. Maybe Coop tires. Oh, that's a little bit of a slide for Nemedis, losing him a couple of tenths. Well caught. But that's gonna cost him a tiny little bit. Commentator's curse alive and well. I'm accepting money to spectate a particular driver for the rest of the race. No, I'm actually not. But anyway, yes, he's 6 tenths down his personal best and losing time to Cool K. So obviously the Dane is going incredibly hard to catch up. But as you go fast, as you see here, you're prone to making mistakes. And that fast speed obviously matters now, as he's not able to just stay cool and collected, as he needs to push as hard as he can. So that lap is an absolute wash, as you see. That's gonna be basically back where they were, dipping into the grass for some reason. 24.4, 24.3 for Cool K. So barely lost any time, but if not for the mistake, well, he lost time, but in a different way. He did not lose a gap to Cool K, but he lost 1.5 minutes off the clock while holding station. That's exactly what he does not want in the latter stages of the race, where he has to get close as soon as possible. Let's see how that develops towards the end. 23.3 for Gunsis, as he just got within 3 seconds. So McLaren team is having a little bit of an issue, but Gunsis is not using it to full extent, having a slow lap on his own. They made us dancing with that white line on the edge of track limit here, trying to use every inch of space, every millimeter of space available to him. Continue on, under 10 minutes now and under 2 seconds between Cool K and Nemedis. We continue a short look at our race leader, or race leaders. You see Gunsis on the background as we watch McLaren Tim complete his next lap at the exit of 20 and into 21, the final turn. The American barely put a foot on this race, but Gunsis 22.7. He is not willing to give up. McLaren team is out of 23s, but Gunsis still faster. Gunsis saved up a little bit of extra tire and he has to use it now. Timer is going down, so there's no time to wait for the Latvian. He has to go. And obviously McLaren team knows that the best lap time has been set right now. And he'll need to respond as soon as possible, or at least cut the losses as much as possible. So he sees him in the background. McLaren team definitely has a visual cue on where Gunsis is. As they finish another lap with a little bit of a gap, still 2.5 seconds maybe a little bit more. We've seen actually Cool K is now close to Framed Automotive. I think Framed made a mistake, and Nemeda is hot on the tail. There is a three-way battle for fourth now. Into the hairpin at turn 10. Looks like Framed made a mistake, then Cool K made a mistake, and now Nemeda is in the chase. That's a battle for good points for all three drivers. Let's see who's able to keep their composure. Right on time as we have 7 minutes left. I've said he has about 5 to 8 minutes. That's the range I was mentioning, and Nemeda is definitely caught up right in that time frame. Now he needs to set up and complete a pass. He was faster than Cool K, but catching up is easy. Passing is a whole other thing. Now the Dane has the big chunky Merc inside of GSR Racing by Team Dragon. It is a little bit faster on the straight, it seems like, as he's able to pull away, so the move has to be done in a section with some turns, as McLaren is a little bit more agile. A little bit of a mistake for both as they slide over the curb in turn number 2. They keep pace but lose time to Frame, but I'm sure Nemeda does not think of a car ahead in orange right now. He's focused on that Mercedes right in front of him. 6 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Nemeda much later on the brakes, as you see. So, braking zone after a section of turns might be a way to go, which is what turn 10 and turn 20 are about. So these are a couple of hotspots for the McLaren of PRT Orange to go. He looks on the inside of 15. That's a brave look, but not close enough. If he's close, that might be a spot to overtake. Turn 15 as well. Oh, he clips the curb, has to avoid, and lost a little bit of time. Very, very hard racing by Nemeda that might be compromising his lap time a little bit. Again loose on the inside curb, and lost about a second there. And we are back to square one with a second between them. Nemeda is trying to push for all his might. 24.3 for Cookie, but 25 flat for Nemeda. 24.6 by Framed as well. So that Porsche is not having the greatest of times. Possibly the tires are gone on that orange Porsche. So if Nemeda clears Cool K, he does have a chance at Framed. But obviously with 5 minutes plus 1 lap, that's not a lot of time. We've seen a couple of hotspots where Nemeda might pass, but he needs to get close enough before that. The dive is certainly on the cards. McLaren is way better under brakes than that Mercedes in front of him. We've seen him closing down time and time again. Cool K is very close to Framed himself, so Cool K is looking both ahead and behind. If he can get a pass on the orange car, and that's loose again for Nemeda. He's pushing hard, and maybe too hard. Another mistake for the Dane. We're back to 3.5 seconds between the McLaren team and Gunsis, so great response from McLaren team of that 22.7 from the Latvian. And he secured that gap again. Cool K 0.9 back of Framed. That's a 3-car race all of a sudden. That orange Porsche is giving up, and he wants that timer to expire as soon as possible. You see that order of cars, that's the order in which they want the time to expire. Framed Automotive wants the race to finish yesterday. Cool K is kind of fine with a couple more laps to catch up. Nemeda wants this race to be extended by about half an hour. We continue on. 1 second between Framed and Cool K. 1 second between Cool K and Nemeda. Is there gonna be a pass in the dying stages of a race? Gunsis looks like he completely gave up on that chase. 5.5 seconds, lost a couple of seconds in the last lap at 25.7, possibly a mistake from a Latvian, but that's a lead settler unless our resident robot makes an error. But I honestly don't see it. A little bit of a mistake from Cool K puts him under fire from Nemeda. A little bit of grass, but 0.8 between them still. Nemeda needs to catch up more in that section to be able to threaten him in 20. That's half a second, but that might be an opportunity to set up for next lap. 2.5 minutes to go plus 1 lap. Nemeda is definitely close enough for a move now if something happens to Kulke. But the Indonesian is very, very good in the straights and does not make severe mistakes. He made errors a little bit here and there, but the car control from Kulke is mighty fine when it comes to serious errors so far. Overcooking the tires just a tiny bit, possibly having confidence that his tires will last to the end. He now uses all of them, all that he has remaining. Viperia now 10 seconds back of Psychedelics and possibly made more mistakes, and that's not a battle. The only battle is here that we're spectating. Framed, Kulke and Nemedis. 0.8 between Kulke and Nemedis. Possibly less now. The PRT Orange versus GSR by Ghost Dragon. Heading into 1.5 minutes plus 1 lap. Looking at the leader, he's currently in turn 6. So it looks like we're gonna have 3 more laps for everyone at the line. So essentially 3.5, a little bit more, I guess 3.25 left for these folks. So lots of time to make mistakes, lots of time to improve, and lots of time for that one crucial pass. Nemeda is still looking on the inside, but still nothing there. The door is firmly closed by the Indonesian driver of the Mercedes. Kulke a little bit of a wiggle to the middle lane, showing that you can go there, mate. Framed is slowest of the 3 this lap, and now Kulke is also in draft range. It's not over until it's over for these 3. Everything can happen, and Kulke now hot on the tail of Framed Automotive. That Mercedes is fast on the straight, so if he manages to keep that gap by the time they exit on 21, that might be a setup for a pass into turn 1. See different lines for all drivers, a little bit based on the strengths and weaknesses of their cars, but overall they're all bunched up together relatively close, and the timer is gonna expire in about 10 seconds. The leader is in turn number 10, so it's gonna be 1.5 lap left for him. Everybody else is, well, for these 3 it's gonna be 2 laps at the line. And Nemedis is still close, but the problem is he gets close to towards the end of a lap, and Mercedes is faster. Nemedis uses all of the available road and then some to get close, but he is close. He is relatively close. If he gets out of turn 2, well, there might be a chance into turn 6. He needs to nail this set of corners. 2 laps to go. Good launch from Kulke. He's not given an opportunity. He's not making a mistake where it's crucial for that car. You can't make a mistake when you're before a braking zone. If you're Kulke, he does not do that. He manages it well. McLaren Tim is on his final lap. He crossed the line 6.5 seconds clear. Framed is putting up good lap times at 24 flat. Kept himself safe from Nemedis and from Kulke, I would guess from both of them. So that's likely a battle for 5th rather than 3-way battle for 4th. Nemedis wide once again. Turn 13 is claiming a lot of off-tracks so far. The guys were warned in the last race, so the steward will probably not tolerate too many track exits. As they continue on, the next guy behind them is the leader, about 10 seconds back, so they're gonna have 1 more lap when Tim finishes the race. 0.7 between Nemedis lost a little bit of the ground, and now they're gonna take the white flag. 1 more lap to go in this race for this trio. 1 more opportunity to go somewhere. But behind them, McLaren Tim is about to win his 3rd race of the season after missing the Virginia International Raceway round. He gets back and is back on top. 3 in 5, car 71 is still your championship leader and race number 5 winner in style. Over to Gunses at the start and never looked back. Saltcedar off the road in a penultimate turn, but he has plenty of gap. Gunses finishes in 2nd place. Autodrom racing half a lap back, but pretty much settled for third position. He's currently looking at the track. He's currently in the SS of 15-16. Salt City finishes the race in 7th, and we are back to where it matters. 1 second. Nimedes made a mistake somewhere. And Kulke is back within a second of Framed Automotive, who lost time to himself. So that's not done yet. One mistake and that might be a completely different story. But for now, their line of stern. They have 2 more quarters to go. And a mistake from Nimedes, trying his best. Kulke is very close. 4 tenths between him and Framed Automotive with 2 corners to go. Mercedes is very strong on the straight. Porsche is also very strong. Who will emerge victorious out of the last turn? Different lines. Going for exit speed for Kulke. Last moment, they're side by side. And Kulke overtakes at the line and claims 4th position from Framed Automotive. Or does he? I'm not sure about the line, but they're very close together. It looks like Kulke stole 4th position, but we gotta wait and see. On timing tower here, it looks like Kulke stayed ahead, but we're gonna look again. I'm not quite sure who kept 4th position, but that was side by side at the line. Brilliant race towards the end. Nimedes kept his 6th position, Salsi to 7th, Psychedelics 8th, Viperian in 9th, Cap in 10th, but McLaren team is victorious in the race. Oh boy, that was something. So, let's see if we can talk to... let's see if we can talk to anybody in this race. Who do I want? I'll grab the obvious person to talk to at the start. Tim, hello. Looks like I can hear you. Hold on. Something is not working. Trying to get everything set, and let's try again. Tim, hello, do you hear me?
Hey, Georgian.
There you go. Now we can hear you. Congratulations with yet another win. Looks like the qualifying did not go in your favor, but you quickly resolved that and was able to keep the pace. So, were you targeting just race consistency overall?
I mean, I guess so, but I was really sweating every single lap because, yeah, I don't know. I was pretty happy with qualifying too, because that's, I think, as fast as that car was going. Like, just this week, and also before VIR, even though I didn't race, we were preparing the setup quite a bit. Like, no slider unturned type thing. And yeah, because I think the Ferrari in general is really on the back foot these last 2 tracks. So, yeah, I think it all worked out, thankfully, today. Gunsis was really fast, so had to work for that one.
Yeah, definitely traded a lot of fast times, but that pit window gifted you 2-second extra gap. So tell me what happened. Did you plan for an undercut and knew about new tire advantage, or how did it go?
Yeah, I for sure was trying to do the undercut, because I think in general, even over the last couple seasons, the way these tires are, the undercut is super strong. So luckily the pit window worked out the way it did, because yeah, I wasn't quite sure where I would come out. Luckily I came out behind everyone with a bit of clear space, and then everyone else pitted. So, because I think it was also just straight up around halfway through the race anyway. So yeah, I definitely tried the undercut and it paid off.
It did for sure. So congratulations with the win. See you next time around, and more familiar tracks remaining on the calendar.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Georgian.
Alright, and now for our pole sitter, who unfortunately yet to claim a victory in World Championship. Hi, Gunsis.
Hello.
So, 1 lap pace, pole position, fastest lap of a race, but something just did not work with the pit window, I guess. Tell us about that.
Well, at the start, it was just my own mistake. I completely misjudged the braking point for the first corner, so yeah, Tim got ahead of me, but I was able to keep up with him. And when I saw his fairly early pit stop, I thought that I could go long since my tires were okay-ish and I could get him by the end. And the gap that I got after the pit window was kind of okay in my view at that point, but as the race went on, I saw that we were just trading blows and his tires never went away. So, yeah, coupled with the mistake at the very end, that's why I couldn't put the battle to him.
So the next track puts you in familiar territory. We're going to Imola and then Red Bull Ring and Hockenheim next. Are you looking forward to the tracks we've visited before? Does familiarity with these tracks play into your hands come championship battle?
Familiarity probably will help. I'm a little bit concerned since I think all three tracks, especially Red Bull Ring, have strong, very long straights. So I see like Mercedes and Porsches being quite quick there. I think this was my best track to go for a win, but you never know. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a good straight line speed somehow into the car.
Alright, good luck in the rest of the championship and see you next time.
Thank you very much.
But now I want to ask probably the most interesting question of the weekend. Psychedelics, you here?
Hi, yeah.
So what in the world happened in the first half of the race for you?
I have no fucking idea. It was all fine in practice and quali, and the first couple of laps were okay, and then suddenly the rear became all kinds of loose, and I probably made a mistake of not having the proper control setup loaded, so I couldn't adjust my brake bias. And yeah, from there it just went downhill.
So it looked like not only you, but your teammate Viperian also having similar problems, especially in turn 20. So is that something with your setup that's not agreeing with, I guess, off-throttle or on-brake oversteer on entry, as we've seen?
I actually don't know yet if Viperian loaded the new setup that I made over the afternoon. And if he did and didn't change the brake bias, then probably the same issue. Otherwise, we had to make some sacrifices setup-wise to get the car turning into turn 20 at all. And that's probably the price we paid now.
Alright, and next up, in a couple of weeks, it's gonna be Imola, with a big straight, which probably plays into yours and Porsche's hand. So are you expecting better performance from your car there?
From the car, yes. Historically, Imola hasn't been my best track across like any sim. So we'll see how that turns out. But I'm hopeful that it will be better than this week.
Alright, well, see you in a couple of weeks, and thanks for organizational moments.
Thanks, and bye.
Alright, I think everybody else swiftly left after the race. That was really interesting, all the way towards the end, all the way towards the finish line, and hopefully that will continue through Imola and further on as we enter the last few races. 3 more races to go. Next one, 2 weeks, February 25th at Autodrom Enza and Dina Ferrari. Hope to see you all there as we return to familiar territory with our racetracks and the drivers pushing every 10th out of their cars. Until then, thank you so very much for watching, and this is goodbye.